Welcome to CosmoFactory, a podcast by Cosmoprof Worldwide Bologna, where we explore the entire cosmetics, personal care, and fragrance industry supply chain. I'm your host, Deanna Utrusky, and here at CosmoFactory, we look beyond the trends to discover the ideas, initiatives, and innovations that are truly advancing beauty. Let's get started. This episode is about multinational social selling, about the challenges of harmonizing consumer insights among more than 60 markets around the world. It's about digital product development labs, about classic beauty product categories, as well as nutritional supplements, about moving away from anti-wrinkle product claims toward a more holistic approach to beauty and self-care. It's also about well-being and women's hormonal health, and much more. Joining me today on the CosmoFactory podcast is Emily Whelan, Director of Technology, Insights, and Innovation. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to speak to you today.
Thank you for being here. As I suggested in the intro to our episode, Oriflame is a multinational social selling beauty company, but I think that short description hardly does it justice. Emily, please introduce Oriflame to us.
Yeah, my pleasure too. So Oriflame is a social selling company, as you described. It's a Swedish company, and that's those Swedish roots that have always been, part of what makes us unique. I believe we're a beauty and well-being company, and we're in the process of that transition to, from a recognized beauty company moving more into the well-being space. We sell in over 60 markets, which is, very exciting then from a product development perspective. And, for us, we really have a unique view on beauty and well-being, which is really looking at empowering our consumers and our brand partners to achieve their well-being goals and aspirations.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. And you personally have been with the company for at least 20 years. Is that correct?
I'm 20 years,
Just now.
this year, just now, this summer. So it's been quite a journey. And, when I started in the formulation team,
Okay.
actually in the color cosmetics department. And, was, over kind of 10 years working in color cosmetics, then moved into the innovation space, looking at, the innovation from a more holistic perspective for our beauty categories and our nutrition and well-being segments. So a really exciting journey, and I think we're really also at the start of a new revolution and evolution in the beauty and well-being space. So it's been a great place to work those 20 years.
It sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations. 20 years is it's a nice milestone.
It is.
I'd like to think a little bit about digital product development labs. In an earlier conversation, you told me that you see tremendous potential for artificial intelligence in formulation and ingredient discovery and product testing and even consumer insights. Share your vision with us there, will you? What is a digital product development lab?
Well, this is very much how, we see it for Oriflame, that the traditional ways of developing products are very much relevant still to the quality and the assurance of our product development philosophy. However, we know that in the future, AI is really going to be the enabler of making those products in a more effective way, translating consumer insights into sort of more targeted, personalized products. I sort of explain it that rather than developing, 100 formulations before you get the right formula, using AI and machine learning and predictive modeling, we will be able to do that in a much quicker time. And also it will make what we're doing much more accurate to meet consumer needs. And I think that's just going to be really important in the future, because I think that, understanding our consumers is crucial to delivering relevant products in the future.
I like what you're saying about accuracy, but also efficiency. It's exciting to think about what's possible when people get help from technology, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think it's something that, we need to embrace and can really help even from the ingredient discovery, the data mining and how we can accelerate that to, utilize the best of nature as well and what's available. So I think it's a very exciting time. And, I think in the future we will see new capabilities and sort of expertise in R&Ds, data scientists, linking in with the formulation scientists to really then enable a much more effective product development in the future.
The connection
Yeah.
among the different folks who are involved in product development and product creation, I think there's great potential there. Thank you for suggesting that. We know, as you've said, that Oriflame reaches consumers in more than 60 markets. I want to think about what that geographic complexity means for product development. How are you creating a product that makes sense and meets consumer expectations across so many markets?
Good question. And I think that, firstly, I do really believe that there's certain attributes about products that are universal. For example, everybody is looking for safe products, for performing products, and products that are responsible with a good sustainability profile. So that is really what underpins, our product development philosophy. And we ensure that all our products meet those criteria. But of course, we have to be mindful that, we have many different consumers in many different environmental conditions, with different skin types. So part of what enables us to then develop, relevant products is really understanding that, so understanding our consumers and what they're looking for. So we do a lot of, consumer insight. We do a lot of research on skin, on, skin physiology, preferences, the texture requirements that our consumers are looking for, to firstly enable us then to kind of understand, the differences, but also the commonalities. Another aspect then, which I think is very important, is how we test the products to ensure then that, okay, if we are, need to make certain claims about, humidity proof or climate proof or long wear, that we're doing it in the right environment to make sure that, we're not doing it in an environment where it's not relevant. And I think that's really, really important to make sure then that our products are performing in the right, climatic conditions, for example.
Yes.
And then, I mean, my background in color cosmetics, it enables us then to create a portfolio of, let's say, shades of foundations or lipsticks, where our different markets can choose from them and choose, what is most relevant. But I would say what really enables it is this kind of dynamic discussion that we always have with our, with our markets and with our consumers to really have that strong understanding of what they're looking for. I think that has to be the foundation to it all.
That's wonderful. That's very helpful. Can you share any further notes on how you're actually gathering and analyzing consumer insight?
Yes, I mean, we do a lot of that from the R&D side where
Mhm.
I'm based, but also we have a consumer insights team as well
Sure.
from the marketing side. So firstly, we connect very well together on, the insights that come in. And some of it is our own research that we carry out, on skin, for example, or on preferences. But also it's, we may have specific projects that we want to know more about, from a well-being perspective, and trying to understand as much as possible how people use the products, how are they interacting with the products, and what are their pain points, and how are they evolving where they want to interact with beauty and well-being solutions in the future.
Wonderful, wonderful. I appreciate your sharing that. We've mentioned a few times that Oriflame is headquartered in Sweden, and I do think that's important. CosmoFactory listeners will recall my interview in episode 6 with Johanna Runke of an import-export company called Nordic Beauty Inc. In that episode, she and I talked a bit about what we called the Nordic sensibility in terms of environmental sustainability and ethics, but also about the region's reputation as a technology innovator. If you're listening and haven't yet heard that interview, when you finish with today's episode, do go back and listen to episode 6. But here today, I want to continue thinking about the Nordic sensibility. I've noticed that the word mark for Oriflame Sweden is Oriflame Sweden, right? With the word
Yeah,
Sweden as
yeah.
well. And some of your supplement packaging even says created in Sweden right on the pack. I'm wondering if you can share what that represents about the brand, what it means for your brand partners and your consumers.
Yes. I mean, I think it really goes to the core of, I think Sweden is very well known for its, technology, as you say. I would say quality as well. These are
Mhm.
some of the words that you recognize. But also this focus on nature, sustainability, health. We're inspired by that. And that translates very much into us, our products, the trying to use the minimum amount of ingredients, but still having a focus on performance and sustainability. Also, I would say, we have a very entrepreneurial spirit in our company, which stems from our founders and stems from that Swedish ethos also, that I think also inspires this recognized culture around innovation, which is very, very important. Also, Sweden is one of the happiest countries in the world, and I think now as we focus more on well-being and optimism and positivity, and really having a sort of more holistic approach to well-being, we really take inspiration from Sweden and Scandinavia from that to really drive then what we do from a kind of more holistic solution.
That's great. That's great. I really, I'm glad you shared that perspective. I love that. You mentioned health there early on in your answer. I'm hoping you can tell us now a bit about your line of nutritional supplements and more specifically about Oriflame's focus on well-being.
Yeah, so very good question there. I think you know health and well-being is really an aspiration for so many people. And, we see that it's a very holistic solution that people need to enable them on their own well-being journey. For Oriflame, we see well-being from a kind of multi-dimensional perspective, looking at physical well-being, emotional well-being, social well-being, environmental well-being, and financial well-being.
Mhm.
To put a focus on that physical well-being perspective, this is where our beauty solutions, but also our supplements, are really enabling people to achieve as much as they can from their physical health and well-being. So we have a range of supplements, wellness packs, multivitamins, omegas, probiotics, and new products launching all the time to really help people, especially with a busy lifestyle. I mean, firstly and foremostly, we endorse, a Nordic diet, which is, validated also from the World Health Organization as really being very positive from a health perspective. But for people who don't have the opportunity to always get the nutrition that they need from food, this is where our supplements can support them in their well-being journey. So I think what's really interesting for Oriflame as well is how we can combine the beauty solution and the nutrition and supplement solution to
Yes.
create a more, solution orientated for well-being.
I appreciate that you're helping us think about how Oriflame really is intentionally moving towards more holistic approach, or maybe has always had this holistic approach. I'm curious if you've gotten into some of these more uncommon beauty categories. Are you in the women's hormonal health space or any other sort of notable, can we call them peripheral categories?
Yes, I mean, on women's health, that is a big focus for us, and
Hmm.
in some ways it has always been because we've always, women's health and the symptoms, let's say, in terms of from a beauty perspective and from a nutrition perspective, we've always had solutions in our portfolio to for women. However, we are doing more research now on the impacts of hormone on skin, ensuring that we have then the right solutions, for perimenopause and postmenopause. And we see more and more that, we will have more solutions around, the diagnostics around for women's health and hormonal well-being in the future. But I think a big part of it as well is really the education part, so that again, women can be empowered to understand why they're the impact of hormones and why their body is changing, and then how they can be empowered to with the lifestyle factors that really can help them. But also we want to offer them the product solutions that can enable them to feel their best at times when it's needed. So I see that that's an evolving area of research for us, but also in the industry, and it's quite exciting to see some of the latest science that's emerging there.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned education, which is always, an interesting space that often falls to marketers. But I'm assuming your brand partners, folks that we might think of as consultants or representatives for Oriflame, are also helping with that consumer education piece. Can you share a little bit about how that is managed or how it transpires for you?
Yeah, exactly. And I think also that connection with our brand partners is really, it's so crucial and so important. And also because now there's such a focus on science and really understanding I guess the root cause of why, there's changes, or what's happening in your skin, or what's happening from an emotional well-being perspective. Also from our role in R&D, we are really connecting with our brand partners and creating more material, really, in terms of being able to educate and empower, people so that they can support consumers around understanding why, and then how to find the solutions that they're looking for. So
Hmm.
that is a big focus, and also how we can find the ways to communicate these very complicated scientific topics in a way that's engaging and motivating, and also doesn't feel overwhelming. I think
Hmm.
that's sort of the focus for us, and something that we really want to put a lot of effort into. So we meet with our brand partners, we connect with them, and there's a very direct connection there.
Wonderful, wonderful. That sounds helpful. Thank you. Earlier in our conversation, you mentioned testing and efficacy. Um, I'm wondering about quality of life and self-perception. I believe in an earlier conversation, you told me you're intentionally moving away from what we think of as conventional claims, like anti-wrinkle benefits and that sort of thing. Tell us more about some of these newer sorts of benefit claims and what product testing looks like at Oriflame.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just one of the most exciting, sort of areas within beauty at the moment. And although yes, we're evolving. Of course, those anti-wrinkle claims and test methods are still very, very important. But I think what's
Sure.
happening is they're evolving more, and it is a lot more around the the perception and of consumers, and this is where this kind of skin brain connection, and we're focused a lot more on neuroscience and how really not only how products make people look, but how they make them feel.
Mhm.
And quality of life, for example, and the ways to validate and substantiate that is where we're moving a lot more in the future. Even on the topic of longevity, and how that's shaping this sort of I guess health span and lifespan movement.
Mhm.
And so I see that that's really going to shape the future of the beauty sector. And we have a number of initiatives and projects that are coming down the line there. But you will see a lot more of this sort of, the focus on the emotional well-being and the
Mhm.
substantiation around that. But I certainly think that that's really the future for skin health, well-being, and beauty.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes very good sense, and I concur 100%. We're seeing, much of that conversation in terms of longevity. I hear the term reverse aging, but also the emotional benefits of product, and literally, measuring that and thinking
Yeah,
about what
yeah.
neurocosmetics means. Super important. And that's very exciting. We do like to talk about innovation here on CosmoFactory, and your work includes innovation strategy, I believe. So I'm hoping you can tell us what innovation means at Oriflame, and maybe even share how you've developed some of your patented technologies or something else innovative.
Yes, happy to. Well, innovation really is at the core of what we do in Oriflame. And of course, we have an innovation strategy, and part of my role is really identifying those territories of where we're going to play and focus our research and innovation efforts in the future. Working with cross-functional teams from the ingredient discovery, product evaluation, product development. When it comes to patents, and we see patents very important factor in delivering unique innovation. So, I mean, for us, it's about firstly, again, going back to the consumer and what is the aging concern or the skin health concern that we're trying to address. And then we have a team of people looking at, okay, what are the concerns that we're trying to address? What are the potential, bioactive materials that we can work with to address those concerns? And then what are the sources of those materials, especially looking at plant materials, which would be one of our key focuses. And then looking at how we can deliver efficacy in those. And of course, I can't speak too much about our patent development process without giving too much away. So
Yeah.
but it's a very, very thorough process. It can be a 5-7 year long process, but it goes through quite a substantive testing, rigorous process before that it then results in a patented technology. But I think this is what then makes our especially our skincare really unique and
Mhm.
high performing. So it's sort of it represents really our focus on innovation and efficacy.
Very good. You used the term a bit earlier in our conversation, environmental well-being. What can you share with us about the Oriflame approach to environmental sustainability?
Again, I mean, this has sort of really been part of our roots from the start, and
Hmm.
how we develop our products has always been inspired by nature. So you know we have a focus on utilizing ingredients that are, from a renewable source where possible, taking inspiration from nature and using natural ingredients when it's, safe and responsible to do so. And
Yes.
then also looking at more, renewable sources for our ingredients as well. So, I mean, it's a very, very thorough process around our sustainability, including eco-ethical screening of ingredients, evaluating then the how we develop, how we can reduce water and more sort of less energy from a production perspective, and also then from a packaging perspective, how we can use more recyclable materials, renewable energy in our factories. So it's a very kind of multi-stage and sort of, yes, product life cycle approach that we have from a sustainability perspective. But it's really key and core to how we develop our products.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, Emily, thank you. This has been a very smart and wide-ranging interview. I'm so glad that you could join me today on the CosmoFactory podcast.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening. If you find the CosmoFactory podcast useful, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review and share your thoughts so even more cosmetic industry professionals can discover the CosmoFactory. I'm Deanna Utrusky. Please join me again next Tuesday for a new episode of the CosmoFactory podcast.